and welcome.
It's the Graveyard Girls. This is our witch trial season.
Yes. And today it's an individual case of mine.
You're doing it, yeah.
I am. Now, I will, in a few episodes' time, be doing the New Forest Coven, which is a bit separate. But this today is a woman from the New Forest area, and she's related to the Burley witches. Now, Burley is a place in the New Forest.
Yeah, I know. They're really strong.
I mean, I suppose she could be strong.
They might be.
Now, I picked to do her separately from the others because I think she's quite an interesting character as things will go on. There's I discovered a few extra bits about her towards the end, and it's kind of a bit of a mystery towards the end.
I have kind of heard of Sybil Leek.
Yeah. So she's very prominent, she's very important, and she goes over to be quite big in America. But as I was delving in and finding little bits of information, there's something a little bit extra that I found out at the end, and I'm like, ooh. I don't know whether she could have... I don't want to spoil it yet.
Okay.
So I'll, I thought she was a very interesting character, so I wanted to do an episode solely on her. Now, obviously, we've already done on modern day witchcraft, and I suppose if you want to, you can probably class her as a modern day witch, because we're going back to the 1950s, so not that long ago.
Was that when she's from?
Yeah.
Oh. See, I know the name. I don't really know much about her. But then when you tell me, I'll be like, oh yeah, I knew that.
I think I sort of knew her, but I recognise the name, and I didn't think I knew much on her, but then there's certain things I didn't associate her... I did know of her, but I didn't associate her with witchcraft. But I'll go on to that as we get in. She does a lot to do with astrology, so I'd heard her name before.
Okay.
So basically I'll get into it. So obviously Burley is in the New Forest.
Not Burley as in strong.
No. And that's obviously in the UK. Now, today it's seen as a quaint little cute village, and if anyone else has been, it's where they let the ponies roam free. So I quite like this one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the ponies roam free up and down the country.
Yeah.
Up and down the country, down around the county. So yeah, they get free passage. They kind of have right of way over everyone else, which I think is quite cool. So it's not a very big village. It just consists of one long high street lined with shops selling ice cream, your usual touristy bits, and there's also a few pubs. Now, it's got sort of like oldie worldy sort of thatched buildings, so it's a very old looking village. So anyone, it's a big tourist one, especially people coming in from other countries because they want to look for that quaint English sort of village. This fulfills...
like the chocolate box or whatever it's called.
Yeah. This sort of fulfills that. Now, most notable, though, is the naming of several shops, many including the word witch. So this whole long high street is dedicated to witchy things. So now, Burley has become known as the village of witches.
Ooh.
Now, it does... to me, it basically seems like the UK version of Salem.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what it sounds like.
But its reputation comes from a single woman named Sybil Leek. Now... Sybil Leek lived in the village in the 1950s. Now, witchcraft and pagan rituals were still pretty frowned upon at this point in time. It's still pretty underground from what I can work out, and there's covens starting to pop up which links in with the New Forest Coven, but not much is really sort of known about it at the time. They're just starting to write books and sort of release it, if you like. So it's then come down to the fact that it's no surprise that Sybil's habit of wandering around the village in a cloak with a jackdaw on her shoulder named Mr. Hotford Jackson raised a few eyebrows. So I feel like she's a bit of a character. Yeah. So she's not the youngest of ladies at this point either. She's got a little jackdaw on her shoulder and she's in a cloak. So I feel like she's a bit,
Okay, thank you.
It's a bit like a crow.
Okay. Ooh.
So... to me, she seems like, if you walk there, like she'd almost be like a person in character.
Yeah.
But it's not, that's just who she is. So I can imagine if you come in here, I know, I really like the idea of her. I just feel like, but I also feel like she does keep to herself, but she doesn't at the same time, like she kind of likes to spread her word a little bit, but then everyone else just thinks she's a bit of a local mad woman. And I'll include some photos of her, and she's pretty cool.
Sometimes it's good when the local weirdo is like... that, not like creepy weird, just like unusual.
Yeah. So she stands out for me.
Yeah.
Now, although her attire scared a lot of people, Sybil was a white witch, and she'd soon become incredibly popular. After being sought out by so many people, writing a book and doing a book tour seemed the right move for her. And Eventually this would become a problem, and she ended up moving to the US for a bit of privacy, because basically people ended up coming to the village and knocking on her door from all over the place. I think it also caused a bit of ruckus with the villagers, because it was generating quite a lot of traffic, if you like, and not necessarily in a good way. Obviously people would come and use other businesses, but also it's only a little village. I think people were coming in swarms, and it was causing a bit of a problem.
Yeah, coming for the
Her
village
as
witch,
well,
essentially. Yeah. Okay.
So in the US, she worked as an astrologer, and she'd write more books, and even featured in some paranormal TV shows. So I had heard of her to do with astrology. I'd heard her mentioned before.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but like nothing's clicking. Why do I know her?
I don't know. I just remember I have watched the documentary, but I can't think for the life of me what it was. But I did. I had heard of her before, and that's why I never associated her with witchcraft. But I wonder if it's more because, like I said, that sort of where she gets out in the open is more when she's moved over to the US. So I think she's sort of known as a witch in the UK, causes a few problems, goes over to America.
She doesn't cause a problem. Well, no. The people trying to... Yes.
Now, sadly, she does die in 1982, aged 65. So we can no longer pluck her brains for information.
Well, we have a Ouija board if we wanted
to summon her.
Yeah. Even in death, she can't have peace.
No. So, obviously, she's not been forgotten, and she does leave a legacy behind. But basically now I want to go into a little bit more about her life and her as a person.
Okay.
So, before she moved to America, she named one of Burley's shops a Coven of Witches, and it still exists today, so we can go and have a little look for it.
Okay.
The shop's still open. Obviously not run by her, although that'd be quite cool if it was run by a ghost.
Oh. It might be.
So, the shop is said to be home to a ghost cat who appears now and then. Oh. So I'd like to think it's like kind of like the spirit of her.
Yeah. Just keeping an eye on things.
Yeah, just roaming around. So Sybil is a witch. Now, Sybil claimed to have descended from the historical Molly Lee, who had been accused during the witch hunt in 1748. Mm-hmm. Sybil was strong in her beliefs, though she differed and often even quarrelled with other witches. She disapproved of nudity in rituals and was strong against the use of drugs, though the thing that put her most at odds with the other witches was that she did believe in cursing. So she sort of frowns upon the whole nudity thing, but it's a bit like, put a curse on someone, I don't really give a shit. So basically you don't want to cross her, is sort of the impression I get.
But I think that's just, you don't want to cross anyone. Be kind to everyone unless they do you harm.
Yeah. So it's like, so she's on a whole, she's a white witch, but she does believe in cursing, which is not something all white witches really strongly believe in. They're more in sort of the peace sort of side. So in that sense, she's a bit of a contradictory character. Yeah. Which is why I think she becomes so notable.
Or she just believes in them, but she doesn't actually do them.
So yes. Now, when Sybil was 15 years old, during a family trip to the south of France, she was initiated into a French coven based at Georges de Leu in the hills above Nice. Now, according to Sybil, she was initiated to replace an elderly Russian aunt who'd been the high priestess of a coven. Mm. And it was from this coven that the New Forest covens in England were descended. Oh. So, it's weird because she has very loose links to the New Forest coven, but in terms of the people in it, she's never listed. So I think this is also going back to some of the books when I looked at it. This is where a bit of the controversy, because I think some of those within the coven, the New Forest coven, it's a bit underground, and even today they haven't released a full list of the members. It's like a secret society sort of thing.
I suppose they don't need to list.
And there's a lot about it that's still quite hidden that we don't know about. So it's not that she couldn't have been a part of it, but those that were vocal, that were in it, denounced that she was part of it.
But think about it, she overshadows the coven.
Yeah. I think as well a lot of the stuff she does doesn't fit in with the particular thing that coven works. Obviously I will discuss in that episode. Yeah. She doesn't strike me as the sort of person that would fit in within that coven. It seems quite different to me to the sort of thing that she does. So like I said, she's a very contradictory sort of character. Yeah. And I think she was a witch, but there's certain points when you look at it and you think, was she though, or was she just trying to join in on a movement? There's a few things that you do and she does, and you think, Are you just jumping on other people's...
Is it documented that she joined this French coven, or is it just her word?
That's what she said when she went over to France for school.
That's what she said. So it's not confirmed. So
the area she went to was confirmed. She did go to school there, but she's saying she was initiated in a coven while she was there.
And her Russian aunt was the high priestess. Okay, It sounds a little... Yeah.
It sounds a bit like she started off with the facts and then she's embellished them a little bit. Now, Sybil was married at the age of 16 to a man 24 years older than her. Sadly, he died just 2 years later.
Oh, shame.
During the Second World War, Sybil joined the Red Cross and worked as a nurse. She also spent some time in the isolated Scottish Hebrides Islands. She ended the war with a handful of medals, but the previous prosperity of her family had been lost to austerity of the war. So
the way you said that, she ended the war.
Yeah, so she ended
it. Thank God on her.
Well, maybe she did too.
Did she kill Hitler?
Maybe.
Oh, she possessed him into killing himself.
Possibly. We never know. So obviously she'd gone from obviously having quite a bit of money to then obviously the austerity sort of ruined that a little bit for her.
Yeah.
Now, after the war, Sybil returned to England to live in Burley. There she mixed and lived with gypsies. She also joined the Horsa Coven, which they claimed existed for 700 years. It was during this time that she learnt about the use of herbal potions and elixirs. Sybil would go on to meet a man named Brian, to whom she had 2 sons. I was just thinking Brian. They were reported to have inherited the family psychic gifts. Whilst walking in the woods one day, Sybil was supposed to have had a vision. She said it brought her to the realisation that her purpose was to promote the craft and old religion, and that's exactly what she did, attracting a lot of media attention.
Mm-hmm.
As witchcraft was still viewed with suspicion, her landlord refused to renew her lease on the shop that she'd ran, and it was then that she was invited to America to do some media work. She would end up staying there more and more often until she eventually moved. Sybil wrote around 60 books covering topics including astrology, witchcraft, curses, dreams, fortune-telling, healing, reincarnation, spells and telepathy.
Ooh.
Now, her view on nudity and drugs and cursing weren't the only controversies surrounding Sybil, and this is where a little bit of a mystery comes in. It was claimed that, in fact, she might have been a spy.
Oh.
A spy. Now, one of the most incredible claims about her was the fact that she was recruited by the British government during the Second World War.
Oh.
According to the author Michael Salazar, he wrote that her role was to provide phony horoscopes for the Germans who believed in astrology. She apparently wrote a chart which convinced Nazi Rudolf Hess to fly to England, where he was then captured. Now, he was actually captured. So there's still some things that actually happened, but they're claiming it happened as part of this. And in the book was written, World War II was a battle between good and evil, and Sybil was in the middle of it. Now, he's a bit of an interesting character, this Michael guy, because he bases some of his books off facts. However, the end books he writes are actually fiction. So people question how much of it is true.
I mean, it does. So it sounds awesome.
Yeah. And this also links in, when I looked at the other spy bits, basically what they're claiming is the witches got together, all sorts of different chants and put in curses and tried to intercept the astrologers over in Germany, which caused them to do several different things, which would ultimately land them in their demise. So a lot of it was them, they were supposed to specifically sent over certain planes, and when you look in history and records, those actual planes were either bombed or like gunned down.
It is believable because there's little sections of the Nazi party looking into the occult.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they claim that Sybil and others within the gang, they basically got together. They were recruited by the British government to bring down the Nazis.
Oh.
So when you said earlier about the Nazi thing, I was like, that's what I'm getting onto. I'm going there. So so there was suggestion that she wasn't, well, obviously she would have been a witch, but that her whole thing in the village was a bit of a cover-up for the fact that she was actually a British spy.
And then that's why she goes to America, because it kind of got out of hand. That's interesting.
But
I
obviously
like that.
she was supposed to be in the war as a nurse, but what if she wasn't there as a nurse? she was doing her witchy things. Yeah,
some of the nurses could have been spies. That's amazing.
I just really liked it. When I started reading this bit, I was like, oh, yes, I've definitely got to do a case on her. I really just liked that little twist at the end.
Why do I know?
Like I said, I'd heard of it linked with astrology, like some of the stuff I'd learned. But yeah, they said she did different paranormal programs. I was desperately trying to find them, but I couldn't. So I don't know whether it's in like the archive somewhere.
Maybe. I'm thinking of like Mystic Meg. She doesn't like that.
But yeah, I'll show you a photo now, but I'll include some photos we can add to the Patreon thing. She's a very interesting character. I think she really plays on her look as well, which is why I think she is a bit of a controversial character, because I think a few people are a bit like, oh, it's just a character, like she's playing up to be a character rather than an actual person.
I hope everything you've just said is true.
So do I. I really like the little spy element. It also gives me, the whole Florence Nightingale vibes from the very first episode that we did.
This isn't about witches, but have you ever heard of the Ghost Army of World War II?
Yes.
Okay, damn it, I was going to tell you about it.
You can still do the thing about it. I like it. Yeah, this was an actual image of her. She's a real character.
Yeah. Is that the bird on her head?
Yeah.
Just wearing. Oh, that's so interesting.
So
also, her name's kind of cool, Sybil.
This is what I like. And then here's another one. She's just. I feel like if you spoke to her, like she'd be really. I think she's quite kind of bubbly sort of, but also she's a bit eccentric.
She'll tell you some things that you don't understand, but you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then when you get home, you're like, what?
But to me, she does. As she gets older, she does look like a classic witch.
Yeah.
And that's in your head. Like, to me, that's what I associate a witch with.
She looks like one of the sisters from Hocus Pocus.
She does a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it Winifred?
Yes.
But yeah, so you can just imagine her whole character, like, walking through. Like, now, if you went somewhere and they did a reenactment or something, like, if they were reenacting, like, older witches, like, she could play the perfect part.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I just really liked her. I thought she was worth mentioning on her own, because she's just a bit of a character.
She is.
Like I said, she's an odd one. I do think she genuinely believed in some of the witchy things, and obviously there's records she did spend a lot of time with gypsies, and those ones believed a lot in like the fortune telling, and they did a lot of obviously old magic. So I think she genuinely believed in some of the things that she learned. Whether she was an actual witch and it come from her heritage, I'm not 100% convinced on that. I don't think she was born a witch. I think it's something she kind of got into. And I don't know if maybe she had to play on the whole she was born into it to maybe kind of sell it at the time. You think as well, even still then, it was it's not that long ago, but also the time is very different. People still didn't really talk about witchcraft that much. So did she have to try and sell it? So she embellished a lot of stuff to...
Yeah, it sounds weird. Like, oh, my Russian aunt is part of a coven. Oh, she's the high priestess. And it's like, really?
But like I said, it's really hard because a lot of it, the things that happen in life are factual, but to me it just then seems she's embellished a little bits on top of that.
Does seem embellished.
So like if you wanted to look on the surface, and you think back then people didn't have access to social media, so it's not like you could just go and Google it.
Exactly.
So a quick thing, if someone went and said, oh, well, did she go to school in France? I go, oh wait, yeah, she did go to school in France. It makes her just a bit more believable.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was a bit of a strange character.
She's interesting.
I just really liked her, but I just love the fact that the whole thing, she actually looks very witchy, and you can imagine her walking up and down that high street.
Of course you can.
But yeah, I really liked her.
Imagine if you got cursed by her and you're like, what did I do?
I also feel like as much as she looks like she's quite bubbly, I also feel like she could have quite a bit of a temper on her.
Oh yeah.
Like if she looked at you like really angrily, like she'd probably scowl at you from like the other side.
Oh, her birds flying through your head, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, just a scowl enough was to make you think you've been cursed there and then on the spot.
You're like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I just really, really liked her.
I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, I thought you might enjoy her.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I'm going to do an actual episode on the New Forest Coven in a little bit's time. But yeah, to me, she's a bit separate from them. She's just obviously about at the same time and the same area. But yeah, she was a bit of a controversial character.
I like her.
Yeah. So no, thank you for listening. Hopefully everyone else enjoyed Sybil just as much as we did. And yeah, in the meantime,
keep creeping
and we'll keep digging.